Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. If you want to be able to say you've done one good thing today, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And our first story of the day is by Acrobatic Source 3. I have to wear work clothes in the office after hours? Okay, enjoy losing the account. I like to keep fit, so after my workday, I usually go for a run in the nearby park. I've stayed away from gyms, especially during COVID. When my day's over, I slip into the women's room to change and then leave immediately. Except there was this one day a few weeks ago when someone, Becky, on another team having trouble running macros in Excel. I don't know the specifics of the document, but suffice to say, it was the final piece of the puzzle for a big account. So having changed and on my way out, I hear Becky call me over and ask for some help before I left. She's a good kid, new to the company, so of course I stopped to explain a few things. That's when her team leader, Lewis, stops me and tells me that I shouldn't be in the office working in my workout clothes. I'm not wearing anything too immodest, but I am wearing clothes suited for running, so sports bra and shorts. I don't want to brag, but I am in good shape and rather well endowed. Lewis is sort of a middle manager who isn't powerful enough to be a kingmaker, but just powerful enough to cause a stink about company policies. He's also a repressed prude. I explained that I was on my way out, not just hanging out to work, and stopped to help Becky. Lewis wasn't hearing any of it. He insists that I either change back into my work clothes or leave the premises immediately. I'm not going to let Lewis push me around, so I apologize to Becky and leave the building. Later on, I learned that night was a deadline for some client deliverables and Lewis's team didn't make it, costing the company the account and lots of money, low 6 digits annually. Lewis was fired for losing the account and for making Becky do a part of the project that she wasn't qualified to do and that he was supposed to do himself. Becky's still with the company, and she and I are now paired in a mentorship program. I wish I could say that I jog past Lewis sitting on a bench in the park every evening, but things don't always tie up that neatly. In a moment like that, where Lewis tells you off for not wearing company attire, but you know that things are probably contingent on getting that work done in time, would you be the kind of person to stop and explain to Lewis why it's so important to help Becky out? Or would you say, this isn't worth my time, good luck, you're on your own? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by A spelled Alicia. He said extra spicy, so I gave him extra spicy. This happened a few months ago to a friend of mine. A little background, my friend's mixed with white and Mexican with very pale skin. He usually gets mistaken as just a white male. His dad also owns a Mexican restaurant. To start, around 3 p.m., these guys walk into the restaurant. Friend was working the register and greeted them. They look at him with disgust and start speaking to each other in Spanish. They start going on and on about how he was too white to be working there and how he knows nothing about Mexican food. After they finished their rant, the following conversation went like this. Friend says, "Hi, welcome to restaurant. Can I take your order?" Guy 1 says, "Yeah, we want to try your nuclear tacos challenge and make sure it's extra spicy." It's basically this challenge where you have to finish 3 spicy tacos in 5 minutes. Guy number 2 in Spanish says, "He probably thinks extra spicy's ketchup." They laugh. Friend smiles and goes to the back to put in the order while handing each of the guys waivers and pointing them to a table. Cue malicious compliance. Friend goes to the back to put in the order. "Well guys, we have another one. Make sure it's extra spicy," he says with an evil smile. Friend grins from ear to ear while they make the tacos. He watches them put on the special sauce made specifically for rude people like this. He happily walks out of the kitchen and places the food on the table in front of them. Friend asks to take a video and a before and after photo, which they happily agree to. Friend takes the before photo and sets up the camera in front of them, making sure it was connected to all of the TVs in the restaurant. Friend reads over the rules: no drinking before time's up, finish all 3 tacos, no giving away food. And the prizes: a t-shirt with "I beat the nuclear challenge" on it, a photo on the winner's wall, and a free meal with their next visit. Friend goes over to the speaker and announces, "Listen up. Guy 1 and Guy 2 are attempting the nuclear challenge. Any words you'd like to say before we begin?" Guy 1 says, "This is gonna be a walk in the park." Guy 2 says, "Yeah, this doesn't even look like a challenge." Friend says, "Let the challenge begin." Friend starts the timer and smiles as the men start to struggle after the first bite. Guy 1 turned beet red and Guy 2 looked like he was about to vomit. Both men tapped out before finishing the first taco. Friend comes over and takes their after picture. Guy 1 says, "Screw you, I want to speak to your manager. We know the owner, I can get you fired." Guy 2 says, yeah, no one can finish that. Are you trying to kill us? Get your manager right now. Friend goes to get his dad and brings them over to the men. Dad says, what seems to be the problem, sir? Guy 1 says, your employee's trying to kill us. I demand a refund. Dad says, I'm sorry to hear that. What did you order, sir? Guy 2 says, we ordered the nuclear taco challenge and it almost killed us. Dad says, I'm sorry, sir, but the waiver clearly states that we can't get sued and we don't have to reimburse you if something happens during the challenge. Guy 1 says, we can and will sue you. I want to speak to the owner. We can get you fired. Dad says, I am the owner. Friend was watching from the register and could barely hold in his laughter. Both guys walk out while screaming multiple profanities at friend and dad. The fallout, they did try to sue, but nothing came from it. Surprisingly enough, more people were interested in the challenge after their performance. Friend makes sure to give everyone the actual sauce for the challenge. Me and friend still laugh at the video to this day. What they should really do to get back at these guys is have it set up so that anytime anybody walks up and says, I want to try the nuclear taco challenge, they go, okay, but this is what might happen. They turn around, click the remote of the TV, and a video pops up showing these guys going, we quit, we forfeit. Are you still sure you want to try the nuclear taco challenge? This next story is by Sniper G. Management decided to take away the ER linen bins. ER nurses and paramedics respond. This is pretty petty, but I freaking love it. I'm an emergency room nurse. At a hospital I worked at, our management decided to take away our dirty linen bins because they looked cluttered and dirty and they generated bacteria. Fair points if we were leaving them in clean rooms, which we weren't, but I digress. Their solution? We had to find a dirty linens bag, pack it, and then take it to the soiled linens room. The emergency room generates a ton of dirty linens. We have to decontaminate at least one set per patient, obviously. Then there's linens that have to be changed when blood gets on them, when a patient experiences incontinence, when someone spills a drink on them, countless reasons. You get the idea. This leads to the non-stop creation of multitudes of dirty sheets. We're also running around constantly trying to keep people alive, recept new patients, etc. So the natural conclusion was that bags full of used, but sealed, we weren't about to get people at risk, linens were now present on the floor everywhere. Outside of rooms, in the hallway, and secluded corners where someone thought, I'll take it right after I give this med. You couldn't walk across the ER now without at least seeing one. The icing on the cake came from the ambulance crews though. They generated at least as many linens as us for similar reasons. After the removal of bins, they started to toss them into the emergency medical services trash can in the ambulance bay as they didn't know where the bags and linen closet were. So someone decided to leave a note on their trash saying, "Stop throwing linens away." A particularly bold paramedic responded, "What do you reasonably expect us to do?" Not gonna lie, when I saw it, I laughed. It actually made my whole day. Don't take my linen bins. Nothing's changed yet, but I'll update with hopefully my bins return to their rightful places. If there was one field of work where I feel like it would be as important as possible to make it as easy as they can to do their jobs efficiently, cleanly, and manageably, it would be the ER and the ambulance fields. This almost sounds like they made a change just because they wanted to make some kind of change somewhere. Anybody that actually has to come into the ER, how many of them are ever going to care about a linen bin? And it's not even worth asking the people who have to come in an ambulance if they care about a linen bin. Not to mention that a lot of those people you can't even ask. I think one of the things that irritates me the most in this world is when something has a problem and people's solutions is, let's just remove the whole thing. Our next story is by Sweet Insanity 13. No teacher, I can't read because I'm grounded from reading. I've been an avid reader since I was 4 years old. If you saw me, you saw a book in my hand or close nearby. I would spend hours in my room reading every night and all day during summer vacation. I can't remember what I did, but my stepmother wanted to ground me when I was 11. She must have tried to think what would hurt me most because she grounded me from reading. Of course, I was upset and outraged that she would instill such a punishment. The next day, I went to school. When it came time for us to take out our textbooks and turn to a certain page, I just placed my book on my desk, closed. When my teachers asked why my book wasn't open, I told them that I'd been grounded from reading and therefore wouldn't be able to participate. At first, he thought I was kidding, but I insisted I would get into big trouble if I read anything. He then proceeded to take me to the principal's office for me to repeat what I told him. After some consideration, the principal asked what my phone number was. He called and my stepmother answered. He told her that perhaps she should think of a different punishment since grounding me from reading wasn't acceptable and it was interrupting my studies. When I got home, she was pretty mad at me for telling the school I couldn't read due to grounding. She then said no TV for a week and walked away, which ironically just gave me more time to read. It's actually very clever of OP to extend it to school. I guess a lot of kids would just assume that it meant no reading at home or no reading in their room. I understand grounding as far as taking away leisurely things the kid is doing for fun that as a punishment they should be restricted from doing. But even if the kid is reading for fun, I don't think in good conscience I could ground them from doing that. It would just extend to screen time, TV, it would just extend to everything else that isn't necessarily productive like reading actually is. Screen time, TV, toys, that kind of thing. This next story is by Stiff Toad. Security. My girlfriend needs to take her tools and supplies to uni and told me to label everything. I'm currently labeling exactly that. Everything that is not nailed down. Bottle of WD-40, the cap on the bottle, the little straw that comes with it. Sure, I labeled the nail container, but also the nails. I even thought of some puns. For example, I labeled her level, but put her name over the bubble, because she keeps me level-headed. When she found out, she sighed and called me an insane idiot. I feel accomplished. Though for now, she's only touched the surface, and I'll keep you all posted for every time she finds another label. Edit. I found many a found label stuck to my head and back as revenge, and she took my legend label with the claim that I'm not legendary anymore. That's a cute little thing, but I'm also wondering how much free time do you have? I feel like I'd have the same idea, but I feel like I'd do a couple things, and then I'd be like, okay, I've really got to go do something else. And our final story of the day is by Evil Strength. No work without a ticket? Alright. I worked as a technician in a factory a little while ago. General rule was that in order to fix something, we would first need a work ticket from the person reporting the issue. Most of the time we only asked for one if we needed to take materials from the stock, everything else we just did. Management decided that the system we were using was outdated, it was, and that we should switch to the same system the mother company used. They put up a very fancy countdown clock to make us excited for it. About a week before the system was implemented, we got a small training on how to work with it, during which our boss told us explicitly that once the new system was live, we were not allowed to do anything unless they made a work ticket first. We weren't allowed to make our own tickets since that was not our job. Cue Malicious Compliance Part 1. We answered every call with, "Do you have a ticket for that?" The problem was that the small training we received turned out to be more in-depth than what the machine operators got. They didn't know how to make a ticket. We knew, but we weren't allowed to. Since we didn't get tickets, we couldn't work. It took about 2 weeks for my boss to notice that not a single technician had actually worked, so we changed tactics. We still weren't allowed to make tickets, but instead we had to tell every operator who couldn't make a ticket to call my boss. He would make the ticket instead. Cue Malicious Compliance Part 2. See, we work in a shift structure. Early shift is from 6 to 2, late from 2 to 10, night from 10 to 6. My boss usually comes in at 8 and leaves at 4. So what happens if we get a call at 6:15 when he's still asleep? He gets a call from an operator to make a ticket for an urgent repair. We usually get about 20 to 30 calls spread over 24 hours, which we now all diverted to him. This time, it took a day for him to give in. We were allowed to make our own tickets since then. I mean, this all falls on the boss's shoulders. This is all just about the boss realizing how the workflow works and making sure that it's set up so that it can function. The fact that the boss sat there, unknowing that for 2 weeks the workflow wasn't functional, is an incredibly big red flag. They might have greater responsibilities, but if you're gonna change a system like that, you probably should monitor it, right? But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.